Okay, so we've got Professor Tim Wilson on the left-hand side, somebody I do respect and I subscribe to. He's talking about Trump and the first 100 days, not going with a bang, but with a whimper. He's actually 100% wrong. Now, if you've watched my other videos, you know I am definitely not pro-Trump. But for everything that he says Trump has failed on, keep at the back of your mind, well, what would Putin want Trump to do? Okay, so in terms of isolating itself, is destabilizing NATO, making it irrelevant, in terms of getting concessions from Ukraine, in terms of weakening the economies of its allies, every single thing, just remember, what would Putin want Trump to do? Okay, in terms of his power in America, is his power subject to any checks and balances whatsoever? Not too long ago, he sent a US citizen straight into a prison, ignoring a court order. What happened? Somebody you may have heard of made a massive political donation to Trump, got him in power, and all of a sudden he's one of the most powerful people in the world, sending a team of kids to analyze American data, doing goodness knows what with absolutely no oversight. And also he gets some huge government contracts right in your face. He's getting everything that he wants, and he's got everything that he wants, and we'll just see how long this goes on. And even if he did fall, and he's not going to fall, but even if he did, there's other people behind him, so we recognize that the main enemy is misinformation. Let's see what he's going to say.
It's bad enough burning bridges once you've decided that something isn't going to work, but there's something uniquely grotesque about witnessing a man sprint towards a finish line he's long since set on fire. Donald Trump's second presidency is a cacophony of noise, ambition, grievance, and most of all, futility. As we move towards his 100 days of Trump 2, the record is stark. No peace deals secured, no wars ended, no alliances strengthened, no deals in the traditional sense, only concessions dressed up as victories. Instead, the image Trump projects is one of desperate performance, flailing diplomacy, incoherent bellicosity, and perennial branding exercises of looking busy while achieving absolutely nothing but entropy. Trump's dramatic social media plea to Vladimir Putin, "Vladimir, stop!" after Russian missiles eviscerate Kyiv, was the cry of a man who has confused capital letters with capital achievement. Here was a president reduced to issuing schoolyard ultimata by smartphone while Russian artillery did the talking in blood and rubble. Stop! A peace president? Hardly. Rather a president for whom the spectacle of peace mattered far more than its substance. It's not merely that Trump has failed to achieve what he promised, it's that he has achieved nothing, and has done so at mega, or if you like, MAGA volume. He's perhaps the first American president whose signature policy victories exist almost entirely in slogans, hashtags, and half-forgotten press releases. And then there's Steve Witkoff, Trump's real estate clone, did I say clone or clown, turned Middle East envoy, a man whose diplomatic credentials consist largely of having admired Trump's marble floors and Putin's cunning. A man who, when faced with the historic grandeur of the Élysée Palace, could only remark that it resembled Mar-a-Lago. A man whose idea of conflict resolution is less Kissingerian statesmanship and more concierge service for oligarchs. Witkoff's influence over Trump's collapsing Ukraine peace process is no accident. Like Trump, he doesn't fundamentally believe in institutions, sovereignty, or public service. He believes in deals, in access, and above all, in personal advantage. In Moscow, he giggled at gold wallpaper. In Rome, he reversed his motorcade in front of the world's press. In Paris, he called Putin gracious. In Washington, he sits with open access to the Oval Office. If Trump is the chaotic maestro of 21st century American decline, Witkoff is the banality of a high-kicking chorus line. Thus, as negotiations disintegrate, as Ukraine understandably refuses a deal tantamount to national suicide, we're treated to the ghastly sight of Trump blaming Zelensky one day, Putin the next, and his own advisers whenever convenient. This isn't diplomacy. It is deranged improvisation staged for the benefit of cameras, donors, and Trump's own magnified reflection. And this flailing rush to achieve something, anything, mirrors the desperate, hunkerish pace of the entire second term so far. Declaring a trade war without a strategy, threatening Greenland of all places with annexation, undermining NATO while embracing strongmen from Qatar to Moscow, dismantling the US foreign aid structure as though it were a falling casino. Trump behaves not like a president, but like a latter-day Captain Ahab, hurling harpoons at every passing threat, convinced that domination, or failing that distraction, will somehow vindicate him. The literary parallels are as uncomfortable as they are numerous. Dante might have reserved a circle for the fraudulent, but Marlowe's Faustus fits better, the man who trades infinite potential for temporal power and fritters it away on parlour tricks and piecemeal vanities. Or perhaps, like Captain Ahab, Trump is embarked on a voyage of self-destruction, one that will wreck not just himself, but the Pequod of American influence. Indeed, one must wonder whether the ultimate legacy of Trump too will be the final inglorious severing of the Atlantic Alliance, the deliberate ceding of Eastern Europe to Russian dominance, and the elevation of grifting amateurs like Witkoff from the pages into the pages of tragicomic history. For make no mistakes, these first 100 days mattered. Not for what Trump would accomplish, but for what he's revealed. He has shown that the loudest president in American history is also the emptiest. A man racing at breakneck speed towards his own irrelevance, hauling his party, his country, and perhaps the broader Western alliance beside him. What happens next? Will Europe, fragmented, panic? Will it rise to defend itself? Will Ukraine stand alone, fighting not just against Russia, but the apathy of a disengaged West? Will Trump finally produce a tangible legacy beyond Twitter, screeds, and gold-plated grift? If the first 100 days are any indication, the answer has to be no. It's a resounding, hollering, capital-lettered no. Trump's second term is less a political program than a tragic allegory. The man who promised to make America great again, reduced to shouting into the wind, desperate for applause from a world he no longer even tries to understand. And for all the gold leaf and the screaming, it's all ending not with a bang, but with a whimper. In a blue suit.
Okay, as I said at the start, just keep in mind what would Russia want him to do. He mentioned about stooges that he's put in place, negotiating peace around the world. Well, again, what if he doesn't want peace around the world? Just riddle me that. Maybe he thinks he's safe being in America in the worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, he's still got the nukes, and he's still got the tech, he's still got the troops. We're the ones in trouble. The real reason is, why would he still give up his allies to Russia? And whilst we ponder that, we've got to concede the fact that he has and that he is. And he also mentioned about USAID, and withdrawing from that. Well, it would suit his view on minorities and DEI and just keeping money for self. When you think about all the executive orders and the lack of oversight that he's put in place, having all that money within the government and not going out, whether it's that or anything else, and it suits Trump, that's still a win for him. What will happen to Europe? The real question is, would it be conceivable that there may be a time where the US backs Russia